Hypixel Skyblock is full of rare items that sell for great amounts, items that exist in limited quantities, but some of these items are so scarce that only one of them exists. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the history of 10 of these unique items that at this moment in time are one of a kind. The potato crown you're looking at right now is the most well-known example of a one-of-a-kind item. It's the only item ever to be made to fit the head of a specific player, in this case, our king, Technoblade. The legendary item was bestowed to the winner of the Great Potato War on June 1st of 2020. The headpiece is littered with references to Technoblade's videos. The quote in the description, for instance, is in reference to Sun Tzu's The Art of War, which was quoted in the Potato War video. The +1 speed it gives could be a reference to how in his video about being the fastest man alive, Technoblade made a joke about how he grinded for ages to get a bat talisman, only to get +1 speed. The armor functions as a normal set would, having the ability to be reforged. The item also originally contained a line in the description that read, "Congrats, please stop," but has since been removed. I suppose because Technoblade took heed to the admin's caution. It was probably for the better. After all, he spent countless days doing nothing but farming potatoes. It was not an easily won item, an achievement, because of the persistence of his opponent, YouTuber AmaSquidKid. SquidKid did not walk away empty-handed though. He received an epic rarity item named the Potato War Silver Medal for coming in second place. This item, similar to Technoblade's, comes with a Sun Tzu quote, "There is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare." At the time Technoblade got his bat talisman, it seems silly to grind for so long just to get a slight increase in stats. Early Skyblock was very different in that most players didn't care about these stat changes, and resultantly, usually didn't bother with most talismans. One of these talismans was the Eternal Crystal. The idea of this talisman was inspired from another popular sandbox game, Terraria. You see, Terraria had a sunstone which boosts stats during the day, a moonstone which boosts stats during the night, and a celestial stone, which is made by combining the two to give a stat boost during the whole day. In Skyblock, if you crafted a day and night saver crystal together, you would receive the Eternal Crystal, but it was removed about a week after the game came out. Very few existed in the week that it was craftable, because it was an epic talisman, and it was a lot to obtain in the first week of Skyblock, but also didn't give stats that players didn't think would be relevant at the time, like in Technoblade's video. To push them even further into obscurity, the admins blacklisted the items, so any that would be held in an open hand would disappear. Despite all of this, one lucky player has managed to hold on to theirs for all of this time. Super Tier is the only documented case of someone owning one of these talismen. Not all one-of-a-kind items were intentionally added to Skyblock. Some of them are features that were implemented into the game but went wrong for one reason or another. Think of these as rare defects. A defect has the ability to turn a seemingly normal coin or Pokemon card into a unique collector's item. Skyblock is no different. The first two of these are head items that did not work as intended. During two recent updates, two items, the Bit Talisman and the Tightly Tied Hay Bale, were able to be placed for about 5 minutes. It seems as though nobody really caught on because only one player managed to place the Bits Talisman, and only one player managed to place the Tightly Tied Hay Bale. These one-of-a-kind placed heads are viewable from their respective owners' islands, Treox and Little Dafty. This isn't the only item that went wrong on release. In the first few minutes of the Dungeon Chest Key's lifespan, they were able to be reforged like a talisman for some reason. This oversight caused a couple of incredibly rare items like the Forceful variant to be created. The owner of one of these talks about how he was able to reforge it when it first came out. Not many players caught on to this, and one player named Talapo24 coincidentally reforged it to Damai, a reforge that no other player had used, making this a one-of-a-kind item. This is probably one of the least rare items that will be on this list because the other reforges do exist too, but a 20 million coin offer was still turned down, showing the true rarity of some of these items. The next few items are where methods start to get pretty complex. The next item is Aristal's Fishing Head. Before it got patched, if you left a minion in a chest and warped to the hub and came back, it would change to a Steve or Alex head, which symbolizes no found texture. If you then used flowing water to pick up the head and placed it on hard glass, you would get what the glitched community has named the OG minion. These are incredibly rare and sought after, but one of these stands out above the others. Not many of an already elite few group of players realized that you could do this with any head and not just minion heads. If you were to replicate this process with a fishing crystal, which is given from the Pond Island, you would get an item named Ristal's Fishing Head. Nobody knows what gave this item its name, but from observation, Ristal is just crystal without the C. So it seems the game is trying to say fishing crystal, but just messed up into whatever this is somewhere along the way. The only person holding one of these today goes by the name Faznax. This wasn't even the only thing to go wrong with the minion. There was one player that appeared to have a method of obtaining early minion menu glass. It is known among the glitched community that these items exist, but is not known how they were obtained. The original player to take these items went by the name of Decay, but passed them along to his friend T-Bot, who still holds them now. He now holds on to 2 of the rarest GUI items and 2 of the rarest items as a whole, Minion Skin Slot and Fuel, both completely unique items. Speaking of GUIs, there's just one more of them that has only a single copy. A player named Supa discovered that during the original pet update, as he was crafting something, his crafting table bugged out. It turned out they changed the layout of this menu, as he was still in it, and he was able to take the GUI items out, including the recipe required barrier, which to this day has made this the only one ever created. A while later, knowing that he was going to get his profile wiped, he scrambled to sell it and ended up giving it to YouTuber Time Dio, who still proudly displays it in his second floor of his museum. Finally, it turns out that the last item is also owned by Time Dio, and I was fortunate enough to check it out for myself. In front of you is a common skeleton horse. This is bizarre. No, not that kind of bizarre, because only legendary ones should exist. He told me a story about how the person he bought it from just one day realized that it was common and couldn't explain how that happened. Since then, no others have seemed to pop up. This item spawns even more glitched items. When you have a pet that shouldn't exist, it breaks Cat and lets you take out her GUI items. That's a lot of hype for one pet. Let's put it to the test and see who would win in a race. Me using my legendary skeleton horse, or Time Dio using his common skeleton horse. Well, if there's no other reason to buy such an expensive item, you can always just use it to flex in a very expensive hobby. He put my measly legendary skeleton horse to shame. Dio was a notable opponent though, and a fantastic glitched item collector. If you want to see more, check out his museum or my museum by visiting either one of us. But that's all I got for now. Take care, guys.